Most people think controlling blood sugar and losing belly fat requires strict diets, intense exercise, or complicated supplements. But in reality, one of the most overlooked tools is something far simpler, a specific leaf that directly affects insulin sensitivity, inflammation, and fat storage. This leaf has been used traditionally for metabolic health, but modern research now shows how its natural compounds influence blood sugar regulation at the cellular level. It helps slow glucose absorption, improve insulin response, and reduce the inflammatory signals that promote fat storage around the abdomen. What makes this leaf especially powerful is that it doesn't just target blood sugar or fat in isolation. It works on both at the same time by supporting liver function, improving glucose uptake, and calming metabolic stress that keeps insulin resistance active. In this video, we'll break down how this leaf works inside the body, the specific compounds responsible for its effects, how it helps control blood sugar naturally, and why it may support reductions in stubborn belly fat over time. We'll also cover the safest and most effective ways to use it daily without relying on extreme approaches. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this single leaf has gained attention for metabolic health and how to use it properly as part of a long-term blood sugar strategy. Belly fat is not just a cosmetic issue. In people with diabetes or insulin resistance, excess fat around the abdomen is one of the strongest indicators of poor blood sugar control. This type of fat, known as visceral fat, is metabolically active and directly interferes with insulin signaling. Visceral fat releases inflammatory compounds and stress hormones that disrupt how insulin works inside the body. These signals make muscle and liver cells less responsive to insulin, forcing the pancreas to produce more just to keep blood sugar stable. Over time, this leads to worsening insulin resistance and higher fasting glucose levels. One of the most important organs affected by belly fat is the liver. The liver plays a central role in blood sugar regulation by storing and releasing glucose as needed. When visceral fat surrounds the liver, it increases liver insulin resistance, causing excess glucose to be released into the bloodstream, especially overnight and between meals. This is why many people with belly fat struggle with high morning blood sugar, even if they don't eat late at night. The liver becomes overactive due to insulin resistance, pushing glucose into the bloodstream when it's not needed. Belly fat also increases levels of free fatty acids in the blood. These fatty acids interfere with insulin signaling and worsen inflammation throughout the body. As insulin resistance increases, fat storage becomes easier and fat loss becomes harder, creating a vicious cycle. Importantly, this process is not driven by calories alone. Hormones, inflammation, and liver function play a much larger role. This is why some people struggle to lose belly fat despite eating less or exercising more. Blood sugar instability further worsens this cycle. Frequent spikes and crashes increase insulin release, which promotes fat storage, especially in the abdominal area. High insulin levels signal the body to store energy, not burn it, making belly fat particularly stubborn. Chronic inflammation ties these problems together. Inflammation from visceral fat worsens insulin resistance, and insulin resistance promotes further fat storage. Breaking this cycle requires improving insulin sensitivity and calming inflammatory signaling, not just cutting calories. This is where certain plant compounds become relevant. Some natural compounds directly support liver function, reduce inflammation, and improve insulin responsiveness. By addressing these underlying mechanisms, they can help stabilize blood sugar and reduce the signals that promote belly fat storage. Leaves used in traditional medicine often contain polyphenols, antioxidants, and bioactive compounds that target these pathways. Unlike stimulants or aggressive fat burners, These compounds work by restoring balance to metabolic systems rather than forcing rapid weight loss. Improving liver insulin sensitivity allows glucose to be stored properly instead of released unnecessarily. Reducing inflammation improves insulin signaling throughout the body. Together, these changes make it easier for the body to access stored fat for energy over time. This is why addressing insulin resistance is essential for both blood sugar control and reducing belly fat. Without fixing insulin signaling, fat loss efforts often stall and blood sugar remains unstable. In the next section, we'll introduce the specific leaf that has been shown to support these processes and explain how its compounds work inside the body to influence blood sugar and fat metabolism. The leaf we're talking about is bay leaf. While most people think of bay leaves as a simple cooking ingredient, this leaf contains powerful bioactive compounds that directly affect blood sugar regulation, insulin sensitivity, and fat metabolism. Bay leaves are rich in polyphenols, flavonoids, and essential oils that help improve how the body processes glucose. These compounds influence insulin signaling pathways, making cells more responsive to insulin and allowing glucose to move out of the bloodstream more efficiently. One of the most important effects of bay leaf is its impact on insulin sensitivity. Studies have shown that compounds in bay leaves can improve insulin receptor activity, meaning insulin doesn't have to work as hard to lower blood sugar. This leads to smoother glucose levels and reduced insulin demand over time. Bay leaf also affects digestive enzymes involved in carbohydrate breakdown. By slightly slowing the digestion of starches and sugars, bay leaf helps reduce rapid glucose absorption after meals. This results in smaller blood sugar spikes and more stable post-meal readings. Another critical role of bay leaf is its effect on the liver, the organ that controls glucose storage and release. Bay leaf compounds help reduce liver insulin resistance, allowing the liver to store glucose properly instead of releasing excess sugar into the bloodstream between meals. Because the liver plays a central role in both blood sugar control and fat metabolism, improving liver function has downstream effects on belly fat storage. When the liver becomes more insulin sensitive, the body is better able to switch from fat storage to fat usage. Bay leaf also has strong anti-inflammatory properties, which is critical for diabetics. Chronic inflammation interferes with insulin signaling and promotes fat accumulation, especially in the abdominal area. By reducing inflammatory stress, bay leaf helps restore healthier metabolic signaling throughout the body. Another benefit of bay leaf is its effect on lipid metabolism. Elevated blood fats often accompany insulin resistance and contribute to belly fat accumulation. Bay leaf compounds help improve how fats are processed and stored, reducing the metabolic stress that drives abdominal fat gain. Research has shown that regular bay leaf consumption is associated with improvements in fasting blood sugar, post-meal glucose levels, and markers of insulin resistance. Some studies have also observed reductions in waist circumference over time when bay leaf is used consistently as part of a balanced routine. Bay leaf does not act as a stimulant or fat burner. Instead, it works by restoring metabolic balance, improving insulin sensitivity, calming inflammation, and supporting liver function. This is why its effects may feel subtle at first, but become more noticeable with consistent use. Another advantage of bay leaf is that it is well tolerated when used correctly. Unlike aggressive supplements, it does not overstimulate the nervous system or spike stress hormones. This makes it suitable for long-term use as a supportive tool for blood sugar and metabolic health. It's important to note that bay leaf works best as part of a routine that includes balanced meals, hydration, and medical guidance when needed. It does not replace medication, but it can support the body's natural ability to regulate blood sugar and reduce fat storage signals. In the next section, we'll talk about how to use bay leaf daily, including the best preparation methods, timing, and practical tips to maximize benefits while avoiding common mistakes. Knowing that bay leaf can support blood sugar control is only useful if it's used correctly. The benefits come from consistent, gentle use, not from large doses or aggressive methods. Bay leaf works best when it becomes part of a routine rather than a one-time fix. One of the most common ways to use bay leaf is as a tea. Bay leaf tea allows the active compounds to be released into water, making them easy to absorb and gentle on digestion. This method is especially useful for supporting blood sugar control between meals and overnight. To prepare bay leaf tea, dried bay leaves are typically simmered in hot water for several minutes. This extracts the polyphenols and essential oils responsible for its metabolic effects. The tea should be mild, not bitter. A strong, harsh taste usually means too much leaf was used. Bay leaf can also be added directly to cooked meals, especially soups, stews, and slow-cooked dishes. Cooking allows the compounds to infuse into food gradually, supporting digestion and glucose regulation during meals. This approach works well for people who prefer not to drink herbal teas. Timing matters. Bay leaf is most effective when used consistently, either daily or several times per week. Some people prefer using it earlier in the day to support blood sugar stability, while others find benefits using it in the evening to support overnight glucose control. Moderation is critical. Using too many bay leaves or consuming overly concentrated preparations can irritate the digestive system and cause discomfort. More is not better. The goal is steady support, not forcing rapid changes. Bay leaf should always be removed from food before eating. Whole bay leaves are tough and not meant to be consumed directly. Their benefits come from infusion, not ingestion. It's also important to pay attention to individual response. Blood sugar reactions can vary. Tracking fasting, glucose, post-meal readings, and overall energy levels can help determine how well bay leaf fits into your routine. Bay leaf works best alongside balanced meals that include protein, fiber, and healthy fats. These foods slow glucose absorption and reduce insulin demand, allowing bay leaf's supportive effects to work more effectively. People taking blood sugar medications should introduce bay leaf gradually and monitor readings closely. While bay leaf is a food-based option, it can enhance insulin sensitivity, which may affect glucose levels when combined with medication. Bay leaf is not a quick fat loss solution. Reductions in belly fat occur gradually as insulin sensitivity improves and inflammatory signals decrease. Over time, this makes fat storage less aggressive and fat usage more accessible. When used correctly, bay leaf becomes a low-effort, sustainable tool that supports both blood sugar control and metabolic health without stressing the body. In the next section, we'll summarize the key points and explain how bay leaf fits into a long-term strategy for managing blood sugar and reducing belly fat naturally. Bay leaf does not work by forcing rapid weight loss or aggressively lowering blood sugar. Instead, it supports the underlying systems that determine whether the body stores fat or uses it for energy. This distinction is important because sustainable fat loss and stable blood sugar come from improved metabolic function, not short-term stimulation. One of the primary reasons bay leaf supports belly fat reduction is its effect on insulin levels. When insulin remains chronically elevated, the body is locked into fat storage mode. By improving insulin sensitivity, bay leaf helps lower the amount of insulin needed to manage blood sugar, reducing the signals that promote abdominal fat storage. Bay leaf also supports liver metabolism, which plays a major role in fat handling. When the liver becomes insulin resistant, it produces excess glucose and increases fat storage signals. By improving liver insulin sensitivity, bay leaf helps normalize glucose output and reduce metabolic stress that contributes to fat accumulation around the abdomen. Another key factor is inflammation. Chronic inflammation not only worsens insulin resistance, but also promotes fat storage by disrupting hormone signaling. Bay leaf's anti-inflammatory compounds help calm this process, creating a metabolic environment that favors fat utilization rather than fat storage. Blood sugar stability itself plays a role in fat loss. Frequent spikes and crashes increase insulin release and drive cravings, making it harder to maintain consistent eating patterns. By smoothing blood sugar fluctuations, bay leaf indirectly supports appetite control and energy stability, which are critical for long-term fat reduction. Bay leaf also influences oxidative stress, which damages cells and worsens insulin resistance over time. By reducing oxidative damage, bay leaf helps preserve insulin receptor function and metabolic efficiency. This protection allows the body to respond better to insulin and manage glucose more effectively. Another advantage of bay leaf is that it works gradually and predictably. There are no sudden drops in blood sugar, no stimulant effects, and no strain on the nervous system. This makes it suitable for long-term use, especially for people who are sensitive to aggressive supplements or restrictive approaches. It's important to understand that bay leaf is not a standalone solution. Its benefits are strongest when combined with balanced meals, hydration, movement, and medical guidance when needed. Used this way, it becomes a reliable support rather than a temporary fix. Over time, improved insulin sensitivity, reduced inflammation, and better liver function create the conditions needed for gradual belly fat reduction. Fat loss becomes easier not because calories are forced lower, but because the body is no longer fighting against insulin resistance. Bay leaf works quietly in the background, supporting the systems that regulate blood sugar and fat storage. When those systems function properly, both glucose control and body composition improve more naturally. In the final section, we'll briefly summarize how to use this leaf safely and consistently, and how it fits into a long-term strategy for managing blood sugar and metabolic health. Controlling blood sugar and reducing belly fat doesn't come from extreme diets or aggressive supplements. It comes from improving how the body responds to insulin, manages inflammation, and regulates glucose at the liver and cellular level. Bay leaf supports these processes by improving insulin sensitivity, calming inflammatory signaling, and helping the liver regulate glucose more effectively. Over time, this creates a metabolic environment where blood sugar becomes more stable and fat storage signals begin to quiet down. This isn't about quick results. It's about consistency. Small, regular habits that support insulin function make a meaningful difference when practiced over time. Used correctly, bay leaf can be a simple, sustainable addition to a long-term blood sugar routine. As always, introduce changes gradually, monitor your response, and speak with your healthcare provider if you're managing diabetes with medication. Supporting the body's natural balance is a process, and steady progress is what matters most. Most people with diabetes are completely missing this one mineral, the one your doctor probably isn't telling you about, and it could be the key to finally stabilizing your blood sugar. Without it, your insulin can't work properly, carb cravings spike, and even healthy foods may send your glucose soaring. This isn't just another supplement, it's something your body actually needs every single day. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal exactly which mineral you need, how it works to lower blood sugar naturally, the best foods and supplements to get it, and the exact dosage that actually makes a difference. By the end of this video, you'll know how to use this simple mineral to finally take control of your blood sugar and reduce the risk of spikes, crashes, and long-term complications. Let's dive in. Most people with diabetes believe that high blood sugar is purely a result of eating too many carbs or sugary foods, but the reality is far more complex. A key culprit that is often overlooked is a deficiency in one essential mineral, the mineral that your body needs to properly regulate blood sugar and insulin. Without it, your pancreas has to overcompensate, producing extra insulin to try to move glucose into your cells. Over time, this can lead to insulin resistance, a hallmark of type 2 diabetes, which makes controlling your blood sugar significantly harder. At a cellular level, this mineral acts as a critical cofactor for enzymes that transport glucose into your cells. Think of insulin as a key that opens the door for sugar to enter your cells. Without sufficient levels of this mineral, the key simply doesn't work efficiently, and glucose remains trapped in your bloodstream. This is why many diabetics experience frequent sugar spikes even when eating relatively healthy meals. Their cells are not receiving the sugar they need to function properly. Deficiency symptoms are subtle but widespread among diabetics. You may experience constant fatigue, sugar cravings, muscle cramps, restless legs at night, or even elevated blood pressure. These signs often go unnoticed or are attributed to other causes, which is why millions continue to struggle with blood sugar fluctuations despite medications and diet changes. The good news is that correcting this deficiency can lead to significant improvements in glucose control and overall metabolic health. Scientific research confirms the importance of this mineral. Multiple studies have shown that supplementing with it can lower fasting blood sugar, reduce HbA1c levels, and improve insulin sensitivity in type 2 diabetics. The mechanism is simple but powerful. By enhancing the activity of insulin at the cellular level, this mineral helps your body efficiently pull glucose out of the bloodstream and into your cells, reducing spikes and crashes. Some studies even report improvements in energy levels, reduced sugar cravings, and better muscle function after consistent supplementation. Getting enough of this mineral through diet alone is possible, but most people fall short. Foods rich in this mineral include leafy green vegetables like spinach and kale, nuts such as almonds and cashews, seeds like pumpkin and sunflower, whole grains, and certain legumes. For those unable to consume sufficient amounts through diet, supplementation is highly effective. The most bioavailable forms include magnesium citrate, glycinate, or malate, which differ slightly in absorption and gastrointestinal tolerability. Most adults benefit from a daily dose of 300 to 400 milligrams, though starting with a lower dose is recommended for those with kidney issues or on certain medications that affect mineral levels. Practical strategies to increase intake are simple and effective. Sprinkle seeds over salads, add leafy greens to every meal, snack on mineral-rich nuts, or use a supplement with meals. Even drinking water fortified with this mineral can contribute to steady daily intake. Research suggests that combining dietary intake with supplementation can reduce fasting glucose by 10 to 15 milligrams per deciliter in as little as 4 weeks, while simultaneously decreasing carb cravings and improving energy. Beyond glucose control, this mineral also supports heart health, muscle function, and nervous system signaling, which are critical for diabetics who face a higher risk of cardiovascular complications. It's truly a cornerstone nutrient that influences multiple aspects of health, making it far more impactful than most supplements you might see promoted online. By ensuring adequate levels, you're not just supporting blood sugar, you're supporting the entire metabolic system. In short, this mineral is not optional, it's essential. Ignoring it means your insulin will keep struggling, your blood sugar will spike unpredictably, and your energy levels will continue to fluctuate. In the next section, we'll explore exactly how this mineral interacts with insulin at the cellular level, the mechanism that allows it to stabilize blood sugar, and why some forms are more effective than others. By the end of this video, you'll know not just why it works, but how to use it to take real, actionable control of your blood sugar naturally. Now that we understand why this mineral is essential, let's dive deeper into how it actually works inside your body to control blood sugar. Most people think controlling diabetes is just about avoiding sugar or taking medication. But the truth is that the effectiveness of insulin, the hormone responsible for moving glucose into your cells, depends heavily on this single mineral. Without it, insulin can't communicate properly with your cells, leaving glucose trapped in your bloodstream. At the cellular level, insulin acts like a key that unlocks doors on your cells called glucose transporters, which allows sugar to enter and be used for energy. This mineral is a critical cofactor for the enzymes that activate these transporters. Essentially, it tells your cells, it's safe to open the door. Sugar is here for energy. If you're deficient, the doors remain partially closed, causing glucose to accumulate in your blood. Over time, this contributes to insulin resistance, a major problem for diabetics. Research shows that low levels of this mineral reduce cellular insulin sensitivity. When your cells don't respond properly, your pancreas tries to compensate by producing more insulin. This overproduction can lead to long-term exhaustion of pancreatic function and a higher risk of complications such as heart disease, nerve damage, and kidney stress. By maintaining sufficient levels of this mineral, your cells respond to insulin efficiently, meaning your body requires less insulin to manage the same amount of glucose. This mineral also influences enzyme activity and glucose metabolism. It activates enzymes that help convert glucose into energy stored in your muscles and liver, rather than letting it stay in the bloodstream. Without enough of it, your body struggles to store energy properly, which can contribute to fat accumulation around the belly and insulin spikes after meals. Essentially, this mineral helps your body handle sugar more effectively at every meal, stabilizing energy and preventing dangerous fluctuations in blood glucose. Practical examples of this mineral in action are easy to see. For instance, diabetics who take a magnesium supplement regularly often report fewer post-meal spikes, reduced cravings for sweets, and more consistent energy throughout the day. One study even showed that supplementing with magnesium for just 12 weeks improved HbA1c levels significantly compared to the control group. It's not just theory, the effect is measurable and meaningful for daily life. Supplementation matters because it ensures consistent, predictable intake. Forms like magnesium glycinate, citrate, or malate are most effective, as they are absorbed well and gentle on the stomach. For optimal results, take your supplement with meals, which enhances absorption and reduces gastrointestinal discomfort. Pairing supplementation with mineral-rich foods like spinach, pumpkin seeds, almonds, and black beans creates a synergistic effect that maximizes blood sugar control. It's also important to consider timing. Taking this mineral in the evening or at night can be particularly helpful because it supports cellular glucose uptake while you sleep, helping prevent morning blood sugar spikes. Many diabetics experience a spike upon waking due to overnight cortisol release, and this mineral can help blunt that effect, ensuring a smoother start to the day. Finally, it's worth noting that this mineral supports other aspects of metabolic health, including cardiovascular function, muscle contraction, and nervous system signaling. Its role extends beyond glucose control. It stabilizes heart rhythm, reduces inflammation, and supports energy production. For diabetics, this means improved overall health, reduced risk of complications, and better quality of life. In summary, this mineral works directly with insulin, enzymes, and cellular glucose transporters to stabilize blood sugar naturally. Without it, your body struggles to regulate glucose, insulin resistance worsens, and energy levels fluctuate. But with proper intake, through diet, supplements, and timing strategies, it can dramatically improve glucose control, reduce cravings, and support overall metabolic health. Next, we'll cover the best food sources, supplements, and actionable dosing tips so you can start using this mineral to take control of your blood sugar immediately. By the end of the next section, you'll know exactly what to eat, how much to take, and how to implement it safely into your daily routine. Now that we understand why this mineral is essential and how it works at the cellular level, the next step is making sure you actually get enough. The truth is, most people with diabetes don't consume sufficient amounts from diet alone. Modern diets, processed foods, and soil depletion mean that even nutrient-rich foods often contain far less than they used to. This makes supplementation and conscious food choices critical. Let's start with dietary sources. Some of the best natural sources include leafy green vegetables like spinach, kale, and Swiss chard. These are not only rich in the mineral itself, but also provide other nutrients that help regulate blood sugar, such as fiber, potassium, and antioxidants. Nuts and seeds are another excellent source. Almonds, cashews, pumpkin seeds, and sunflower seeds contain significant amounts and make for easy, convenient snacks. Legumes and whole grains also contribute, including black beans, chickpeas, quinoa, and brown rice. For maximum effect, aim to include at least one of these foods in every meal. If diet alone isn't enough, supplementation is highly effective. The most bioavailable forms include magnesium citrate, glycinate, and malate, which differ slightly in absorption and gastrointestinal tolerance. For diabetics, a typical effective daily dose is 300 to 400 milligrams, split between meals if necessary. Starting with a lower dose and gradually increasing helps prevent digestive upset. Always check with your doctor if you have kidney issues or are on medications that affect mineral balance. Timing matters too. Taking this mineral with meals improves absorption and reduces potential stomach upset. Some people find taking it in the evening or before bed particularly effective because it supports insulin sensitivity overnight and helps prevent the common morning blood sugar spike. Pairing supplementation with mineral-rich foods throughout the day enhances the effect, creating a steady supply for your body to use. Another practical tip is to combine mineral intake with lifestyle habits that naturally improve insulin sensitivity. Regular physical activity, even light exercise after meals, increases glucose uptake by muscles, making the mineral even more effective. Adequate hydration, reducing excessive caffeine and alcohol, and maintaining healthy sleep patterns also help maximize absorption and utilization. The impact of correcting a deficiency can be significant. Studies show that diabetics who supplement with this mineral can experience lower fasting glucose, improved HbA1c levels, fewer carb cravings, and more stable energy levels in just a few weeks. Real-world examples include people who report less frequent blood sugar spikes after meals, improved sleep, and even reductions in blood pressure, since this mineral also plays a role in cardiovascular health. When choosing a supplement, quality matters. Look for brands that are third-party tested, clearly list the type of mineral, and avoid fillers or unnecessary additives. Combining this with a diet rich in greens, nuts, seeds, legumes, and whole grains creates a powerful synergy, allowing your body to use insulin efficiently, stabilize glucose, and reduce the stress on your pancreas. In short, getting enough of this mineral is about smart food choices, consistent supplementation, and timing your intake with meals and lifestyle habits. When done correctly, it can dramatically reduce blood sugar spikes, improve insulin sensitivity, and support long-term metabolic health. By implementing these strategies, you're giving your body the tools it needs to finally take control of glucose regulation. Next, we'll cover the final section, where we summarize the benefits, give cautions, and show how to integrate this mineral into a long-term diabetes management plan safely and effectively. Now that we understand why this mineral is essential and how it works at the cellular level, the next step is making sure you actually get enough. The truth is, most people with diabetes don't consume sufficient amounts from diet alone. Modern diets, processed foods, and soil depletion mean that even nutrient-rich foods often contain far less than they used to. This makes supplementation and conscious food choices critical. Let's start with dietary sources. Some of the best natural sources include leafy green vegetables like spinach, kale, and Swiss chard. These are not only rich in the mineral itself, but also provide other nutrients that help regulate blood sugar, such as fiber, potassium, and antioxidants. Nuts and seeds are another excellent source. Almonds, cashews, pumpkin seeds, and sunflower seeds contain significant amounts and make for easy, convenient snacks. Legumes and whole grains also contribute, including black beans, chickpeas, quinoa, and brown rice. For maximum effect, aim to include at least one of these foods in every meal. If diet alone isn't enough, supplementation is highly effective. The most bioavailable forms include magnesium citrate, glycinate, and malate, which differ slightly in absorption and gastrointestinal tolerance. For diabetics, a typical effective daily dose is 300 to 400 milligrams, split between meals if necessary. Starting with a lower dose and gradually increasing helps prevent digestive upset. Always check with your doctor if you have kidney issues or are on medications that affect mineral balance. Timing matters too. Taking this mineral with meals improves absorption and reduces potential stomach upset. Some people find taking it in the evening or before bed particularly effective because it supports insulin sensitivity overnight and helps prevent the common morning blood sugar spike. Pairing supplementation with mineral-rich foods throughout the day enhances the effect, creating a steady supply for your body to use. Another practical tip is to combine mineral intake with lifestyle habits that naturally improve insulin sensitivity. Regular physical activity, even light exercise after meals, increases glucose uptake by muscles, making the mineral even more effective. Adequate hydration, reducing excessive caffeine and alcohol, and maintaining healthy sleep patterns also help maximize absorption and utilization. The impact of correcting a deficiency can be significant. Studies show that diabetics who supplement with this mineral can experience lower fasting glucose, improved HbA1c levels, fewer carb cravings, and more stable energy levels in just a few weeks. Real-world examples include people who report less frequent blood sugar spikes after meals, improved sleep, and even reductions in blood pressure, since this mineral also plays a role in cardiovascular health. When choosing a supplement, quality matters. Look for brands that are third-party tested, clearly list the type of mineral, and avoid fillers or unnecessary additives. Combining this with a diet rich in greens, nuts, seeds, legumes, and whole grains creates a powerful synergy, allowing your body to use insulin efficiently, stabilize glucose, and reduce the stress on your pancreas. In short, getting enough of this mineral is about smart food choices, consistent supplementation, and timing your intake with meals and lifestyle habits. When done correctly, it can dramatically reduce blood sugar spikes, improve insulin sensitivity, and support long-term metabolic health. By implementing these strategies, you're giving your body the tools it needs to finally take control of glucose regulation. Next, we'll cover the final section, where we summarize the benefits, give cautions, and show how to integrate this mineral into a long-term diabetes management plan safely and effectively. Now you know why this mineral is so essential for controlling blood sugar and supporting your overall metabolic health. By improving insulin sensitivity, enhancing glucose uptake, and reducing spikes, it works at the very foundation of how your body processes sugar. Whether through mineral-rich foods like leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and legumes, or through carefully chosen supplements, you can give your body the tools it needs to stabilize blood sugar and reduce stress on your pancreas. Consistency is key. It's not about taking a supplement once in a while or occasionally eating a magnesium-rich meal. It's about making this mineral a daily habit. Spread your intake throughout the day, pair it with balanced meals, and consider taking it in the evening to help prevent morning blood sugar spikes. Combined with exercise, proper hydration, and sufficient sleep, this approach can dramatically improve energy, reduce cravings, and help protect against long-term complications like cardiovascular issues and nerve damage. A few important cautions. Always consult your doctor before starting any new supplement, especially if you have kidney issues or take medications that affect mineral balance. Start at the lower end of the dosage range and gradually increase as tolerated. Pay attention to your body. Mild digestive changes are normal at first, but persistent symptoms should be addressed with a healthcare professional. By taking these steps, you're not just controlling your blood sugar temporarily, you're supporting long-term metabolic health and giving yourself the foundation for better energy, fewer cravings, and improved overall well-being. Make this mineral a part of your daily routine, and you'll notice real changes in your blood sugar, energy levels, and overall health. Most people with diabetes focus only on cutting sugar and carbs, but they still struggle with high blood sugar because they're missing something critical. The real problem for many diabetics isn't sugar itself, it's insulin resistance, when your cells stop responding properly to insulin. And without fixing that, blood sugar stays high no matter what you eat. What most people don't realize is that insulin resistance is strongly linked to vitamin deficiencies. Certain vitamins play a direct role in how insulin works, how glucose enters your cells, and how efficiently your body uses sugar for energy. When these vitamins are low, insulin can't do its job, glucose builds up in the bloodstream, and diabetes slowly gets worse over time. In this video, I'm going to break down the top 3 vitamins every diabetic must take to improve insulin sensitivity naturally. You'll learn how each vitamin works inside the body, what happens when you're deficient, how it affects blood sugar and HbA1c, and how to use these vitamins correctly to support long-term glucose control. By the end of this video, you'll understand why fixing insulin resistance is the real key to reversing diabetes, and how these 3 vitamins can help your body respond to insulin again, naturally and safely. To understand why vitamins matter so much for diabetics, we first need to understand what actually keeps blood sugar high. For most people with type 2 diabetes, the core problem is not a lack of insulin. The real issue is insulin resistance, a condition where your cells stop responding properly to insulin's signal. Insulin's role is straightforward. After you eat, insulin tells your muscle, liver, and fat cells to open up and pull glucose out of the bloodstream so it can be used for energy. In insulin resistance, that message becomes weak and distorted. The cells stop responding, glucose stays in the blood, and blood sugar levels rise. To compensate, the pancreas releases more insulin in an attempt to overpower this resistance. This is why many diabetics have high insulin levels and high blood sugar at the same time. The insulin is present, but it's not effective. Over time, the pancreas becomes overworked. Insulin signaling continues to decline, and blood sugar control worsens. This is also why diabetes often progresses slowly, even in people who reduce sugar and carbohydrates. Insulin resistance develops over years, not days. Chronic inflammation, oxidative stress, poor mitochondrial function, excess fat storage, and nutrient depletion all contribute. One of the most overlooked drivers of this process is vitamin deficiency. Vitamins are required for hundreds of enzymatic reactions, including those that control insulin signaling and glucose metabolism. At the cellular level, insulin works by binding to receptors on the cell surface and triggering a signaling cascade that allows glucose transporters to move sugar into the cell. Several vitamins are required to maintain receptor sensitivity, enzyme activation, and energy production inside the cell. When these vitamins are low, insulin receptors become less responsive, signaling weakens, and glucose transport slows down. This leads to persistent high blood sugar even when insulin is present. Over time, insulin receptors can become damaged or downregulated, making resistance even worse. This is one reason medications often lose effectiveness. They may increase insulin levels, but they do not repair the cellular machinery required for insulin to work properly. Common symptoms of insulin resistance include chronic fatigue, strong carbohydrate cravings, weight gain around the abdomen, difficulty losing fat, brain fog, and frequent blood sugar crashes. Many diabetics also experience worsening cholesterol levels, elevated blood pressure, and poor circulation. These problems are often treated separately, but they all stem from impaired insulin action at the cellular level. Scientific research consistently shows that correcting key vitamin deficiencies can significantly improve insulin sensitivity. Restoring proper vitamin levels helps reduce inflammation and improve mitochondrial energy production, strengthen insulin receptor signaling, and enhance glucose uptake. In some studies, fasting blood sugar and HbA1c improve within weeks because the underlying biochemical pathways are being restored. Modern diets make this problem worse. Processed foods are low in micronutrients. Soil depletion has reduced vitamin content in whole foods. And diabetics lose more vitamins through increased urination and metabolic stress. This creates a vicious cycle where insulin resistance increases nutrient loss, and nutrient loss further worsens insulin resistance. This is why simply cutting sugar is often not enough. Diet changes can reduce glucose intake, but if the vitamins required for insulin signaling are missing, blood sugar regulation remains unstable. To truly reverse insulin resistance, the body needs the nutrients that allow insulin to function properly again. In the next sections, we'll break down the three most important vitamins that directly support insulin sensitivity, explain how each one works inside the body, and show how diabetics can use them safely to restore glucose control and improve long-term metabolic health. Vitamin D plays a foundational role in insulin sensitivity, yet it is one of the most commonly overlooked deficiencies in people with diabetes. While most people associate vitamin D with bone strength, its influence on blood sugar control runs much deeper. Vitamin D directly affects how insulin functions, how cells respond to glucose, and how efficiently the pancreas produces insulin. Vitamin D works through specialized receptors that exist on muscle cells, fat cells, and insulin-producing beta cells in the pancreas. These receptors help regulate how cells interpret insulin signal. When vitamin D levels are low, insulin signaling becomes weaker and less efficient. As a result, glucose has a harder time entering cells and remains circulating in the bloodstream. This leads to a situation where blood sugar stays elevated even though insulin is present. In response, the pancreas releases more insulin to compensate. Over time, this constant overproduction places significant strain on the pancreas and worsens insulin resistance. Many diabetics live in this state for years without realizing vitamin D deficiency is contributing to the problem. Vitamin D also plays a major role in controlling chronic inflammation. Inflammation interferes with insulin signaling pathways inside the cell, making insulin's message harder to transmit. Low vitamin D levels are associated with higher levels of inflammatory markers, which further disrupt glucose regulation and worsen insulin resistance. By reducing inflammation, vitamin D helps restore clearer insulin signaling. Another critical function of vitamin D is protecting pancreatic beta cells. These cells are responsible for producing insulin, and they are highly sensitive to metabolic stress. Chronic insulin resistance forces beta cells to work harder, increasing oxidative damage and accelerating cellular fatigue. Vitamin D helps reduce this stress, supports beta cell survival, and improves insulin secretion efficiency over time. Vitamin D deficiency is extremely common in people with diabetes. Limited sun exposure, aging, higher body fat levels, and poor absorption all contribute. Vitamin D is fat-soluble and often becomes trapped in fat tissue, reducing its availability for metabolic processes. This means someone can consume vitamin D but still remain functionally deficient at the cellular level. Low vitamin D levels are associated with higher fasting blood sugar, increased post-meal spikes, and poorer HbA1c outcomes. Multiple clinical studies show that correcting vitamin D deficiency improves insulin sensitivity and glucose control, particularly in people with established insulin resistance. Improvements often occur gradually over several weeks, but are consistent and measurable. Vitamin D also supports muscle glucose uptake. Muscle tissue is one of the primary sites where glucose is cleared from the bloodstream. When muscle cells respond better to insulin, they absorb more glucose after meals, helping stabilize overall blood sugar levels throughout the day. This makes daily glucose management more predictable and less volatile. What makes vitamin D especially important is that it sets the stage for other interventions to work. Diet changes, exercise, and even medications depend on proper insulin signaling. Without adequate vitamin D, these strategies often produce weaker or inconsistent results because the underlying cellular response remains impaired. Addressing vitamin D deficiency does not instantly reverse diabetes, but it removes a major barrier to improvement. It allows insulin to function more effectively, reduces inflammation, protects pancreatic cells, and supports more stable glucose regulation. For many diabetics, restoring vitamin D levels is one of the most important first steps toward reversing insulin resistance. In the next section, we'll move on to the second essential vitamin that works alongside vitamin D to further strengthen insulin signaling, reduce oxidative stress, and support long-term blood sugar stability. Vitamin B12 is one of the most important yet most commonly overlooked vitamins for diabetics. While it is often discussed in relation to nerve health or fatigue, its role in insulin resistance and blood sugar stability goes much deeper. For people with diabetes, low B12 levels can quietly worsen glucose control, energy levels, and long-term metabolic health. Vitamin B12 is essential for proper nerve signaling throughout the body. Insulin sensitivity depends not only on hormones, but also on efficient communication between nerves, muscles, and metabolic tissues. When B12 levels are low, this communication becomes slower and less precise. As a result, cells respond less efficiently to insulin signal, and glucose uptake becomes impaired. Another critical role of vitamin B12 is its involvement in cellular energy production. Inside each cell, glucose must be converted into usable energy through a series of metabolic reactions. Vitamin B12 is required for these reactions to function properly. When B12 is deficient, cells struggle to use glucose efficiently, causing sugar to remain in the bloodstream instead of being burned for energy. This inefficiency contributes directly to insulin resistance. The body senses that glucose is not being used effectively and compensates by releasing more insulin. Over time, this worsens insulin resistance and places additional stress on the pancreas. Many diabetics experience this cycle without realizing that a nutrient deficiency is contributing to the problem. Fatigue is one of the most common symptoms of low vitamin B12. Many diabetics feel constantly tired, mentally foggy, or physically weak, even when their blood sugar numbers appear acceptable. This fatigue is often a sign of impaired cellular energy metabolism. When energy production is compromised, glucose regulation becomes more unstable throughout the day. Vitamin B12 is also essential for red blood cell production and oxygen delivery. Without adequate oxygen-reaching tissues, muscles cannot use glucose efficiently. This further worsens insulin sensitivity and contributes to inconsistent energy levels and blood sugar swings. Vitamin B12 deficiency is extremely common in people with diabetes, especially those taking metformin. Metformin interferes with B12 absorption in the digestive tract, leading to gradual depletion over time. Because this process is slow, many people remain unaware of the deficiency until symptoms become more pronounced. Low B12 levels are strongly linked to nerve damage, a common complication of diabetes. Symptoms such as tingling, numbness, burning sensations, or reduced sensation in the feet and hands are often worsened by B12 deficiency. Nerve damage disrupts communication between the nervous system and muscles, which can further impair glucose uptake and worsen insulin resistance. Vitamin B12 also helps regulate homocysteine, an amino acid associated with cardiovascular risk. Elevated homocysteine levels are common in diabetics and are linked to inflammation, poor circulation, and insulin resistance. Adequate B12 helps lower homocysteine, supporting better blood flow and metabolic function. Studies show that restoring proper B12 levels can improve nerve function, reduce fatigue, and support more stable blood sugar regulation. While B12 alone does not reverse diabetes, correcting a deficiency removes a major obstacle that prevents insulin from working efficiently. For diabetics, maintaining adequate B12 levels supports energy production, nerve health, insulin responsiveness, and overall metabolic stability. This makes vitamin B12 a critical part of any strategy aimed at reversing insulin resistance and reducing long-term complications. In the next section, we'll cover the third and final vitamin, which plays a powerful role in reducing oxidative stress strengthening insulin signaling and supporting long-term blood sugar stability. The third vitamin that plays a major role in insulin resistance is vitamin C. While vitamin C is often thought of as an immune support nutrient, its most important function for diabetics is protecting the body from oxidative stress, a key driver of insulin resistance and long-term complications. Oxidative stress occurs when excess glucose in the bloodstream generates free radicals. These unstable molecules damage cells, interfere with insulin signaling, and accelerate tissue breakdown. In people with diabetes, oxidative stress is consistently elevated, especially after meals when blood sugar rises sharply. When oxidative stress damages insulin receptors, insulin signal becomes weaker. Glucose has a harder time entering cells, even when insulin levels are high. Over time, this contributes to worsening insulin resistance and higher fasting and post-meal blood sugar levels. Vitamin C acts as a powerful antioxidant, meaning it neutralizes free radicals before they can damage cells. By reducing oxidative stress, vitamin C helps protect insulin receptors and preserve the signaling pathways insulin depends on. This allows insulin to function more efficiently and improves glucose uptake at the cellular level. Another important role of vitamin C is supporting vascular health. Healthy blood vessels are essential for delivering glucose and insulin to muscles and tissues. When blood vessels are damaged by oxidative stress, glucose clearance becomes less efficient. Vitamin C helps protect the lining of blood vessels and supports better circulation, which indirectly improves blood sugar control. Vitamin C also plays a role in reducing inflammation. Chronic inflammation interferes with insulin signaling and worsens insulin resistance. By lowering inflammatory stress, vitamin C helps create a metabolic environment where insulin can work more effectively. One unique issue for diabetics is that vitamin C competes with glucose for entry into cells. When blood sugar levels are high, glucose crowds out vitamin C, leading to functional vitamin C deficiency inside the cell, even if intake appears adequate. This creates a vicious cycle where oxidative stress increases as vitamin C availability decreases. Low intracellular vitamin C worsens insulin resistance, increases inflammation, and accelerates tissue damage. This is one reason diabetics often require higher vitamin C intake than non-diabetics to maintain normal cellular function. Vitamin C also supports adrenal health and stress hormone regulation. Chronically elevated cortisol increases glucose production by the liver and worsens insulin resistance. Adequate vitamin C helps regulate cortisol output, supporting more stable blood sugar levels throughout the day. Research shows that sufficient vitamin C intake is associated with lower fasting blood sugar, reduced post-meal spikes, and improved insulin sensitivity. Some studies show modest improvements in HbA1c when vitamin C supplementation is combined with diet and lifestyle changes. Vitamin C deficiency is more common in diabetics due to increased oxidative stress, higher urinary losses, and reduced cellular uptake. Over time, this deficiency contributes to vascular damage, nerve stress, and worsening metabolic control. When vitamin C levels are restored, cells become more resilient to glucose-related damage. Insulin signaling improves, oxidative stress decreases, and blood sugar regulation becomes more stable. While vitamin C alone does not reverse diabetes, it plays a critical protective role. Together with vitamin D, which improves insulin signaling, and vitamin B12, which supports nerve communication and energy metabolism, vitamin C completes a foundation that supports insulin sensitivity, cellular protection, and long-term metabolic stability in diabetics. Insulin resistance doesn't develop overnight, And it doesn't improve from cutting sugar alone. It's driven by what's happening inside your cells, how insulin signals, how glucose is used for energy, and how much damage builds up over time. That's why vitamins matter more than most people realize. Vitamin D helps insulin communicate with your cells. Vitamin B12 supports nerve signaling and cellular energy so glucose can actually be used. And vitamin C protects insulin receptors from oxidative damage that slowly worsens resistance. Together, these vitamins address the underlying stress that keeps blood sugar unstable. This doesn't mean supplements replace medication or lifestyle changes. It means that without correcting deficiencies, insulin struggles to work properly no matter what else you do. Supporting these pathways gives your body a better chance to respond to insulin and maintain steadier blood sugar. Always talk to your doctor before making changes, especially if you take medications. Start gradually, stay consistent, and focus on long-term stability rather than quick fixes. Improving insulin resistance is about supporting the system, not forcing it. Many people focus on medications or supplements to control blood sugar and blood pressure. But one of the most powerful tools is something far more basic: the vegetables you eat every day. Certain vegetables don't just provide fiber or vitamins, they actively influence insulin sensitivity, glucose absorption, inflammation, and blood vessel function. When used consistently, they can help stabilize blood sugar levels while also supporting healthier blood pressure. What makes these vegetables especially effective is that they work on multiple systems at once. They slow how quickly sugar enters the bloodstream, improve how cells respond to insulin, reduce inflammatory stress, and help blood vessels relax so blood can flow more easily. In this video, we'll break down 5 vegetables that have been shown to support both blood sugar control and blood pressure regulation. We'll explain how each one works inside the body, why they're helpful for diabetics and insulin resistance, and the best ways to include them in daily meals. These aren't exotic foods or extreme diets. They're simple, accessible vegetables that can quietly improve metabolic health over time when used correctly. By the end of this video, you'll understand how the right vegetables can support steadier blood sugar, healthier blood pressure, and better long-term control without complicated rules. Leafy green vegetables are often overlooked, but they form the foundation of blood sugar and blood pressure control for people with insulin resistance and diabetes. Vegetables such as spinach, kale, Swiss chard, collard greens, and arugula are extremely low in carbohydrates, yet rich in nutrients that directly improve insulin sensitivity and vascular health. One of the most important reasons leafy greens are so effective is their high magnesium content. Magnesium is required for insulin to work properly at the cellular level. When magnesium levels are low, insulin signaling becomes impaired, making it harder for glucose to enter cells. This leads to higher blood sugar levels even when insulin is present. Leafy greens are also rich in potassium, a mineral that plays a critical role in blood pressure regulation. Potassium helps blood vessels relax and counteracts the effects of excess sodium. When blood vessels remain relaxed, blood pressure decreases and circulation improves, which also helps glucose reach muscle cells more efficiently. Another key benefit of leafy greens is their high level of natural nitrates. These compounds are converted by the body into nitric oxide, which improves blood vessel dilation and blood flow. Better blood flow reduces pressure on the cardiovascular system and supports healthier glucose delivery throughout the body. Fiber is another major advantage. Leafy greens contain soluble and insoluble fiber that slows digestion and glucose absorption. This prevents sharp blood sugar spikes after meals and reduces the amount of insulin required to manage glucose levels. Over time, this helps protect insulin sensitivity. Leafy greens also provide powerful antioxidants and polyphenols that reduce oxidative stress. Oxidative stress damages insulin receptors and worsens blood vessel stiffness, contributing to both high blood sugar and high blood pressure. By reducing this damage, leafy greens support healthier metabolic signaling. Section 1B, revised, paced directly after 1A. Leafy greens also play an important role in supporting liver health, which is central to both blood sugar and blood pressure regulation. The liver controls how much glucose is released into the bloodstream between meals and overnight. When liver insulin resistance improves, fasting and morning blood sugar levels often become more stable. Because leafy greens are extremely low in calories but high in volume, they help reduce overall insulin demand without increasing glucose load. This makes them ideal for meals where blood sugar stability is a priority. Lower insulin demand reduces fat storage signals and supports better metabolic balance. Another benefit of leafy greens is their impact on gut health. The fiber and plant compounds in greens support beneficial gut bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids. These compounds improve insulin sensitivity, reduce inflammation, and support healthier blood pressure regulation. Preparation matters. Lightly steaming or sautéing leafy greens can improve mineral absorption while preserving most antioxidants. Overcooking may reduce some benefits, while raw greens may be harder to digest for some people. A mix of raw and lightly cooked greens works well for most individuals. Consistency is more important than quantity. Eating leafy greens daily or nearly every day provides far more benefit than consuming large portions occasionally. Even modest servings included regularly with meals can improve blood sugar stability and vascular function over time. Leafy greens work best as part of a balanced plate that includes protein and healthy fats. This combination further slows glucose absorption and reduces post-meal blood sugar spikes, making blood pressure and glucose levels easier to manage. Because they support insulin sensitivity, circulation, digestion, and inflammation simultaneously, leafy greens serve as a nutritional base for controlling blood sugar and blood pressure naturally. In the next section, we'll move to another vegetable that plays a powerful role in insulin sensitivity and cardiovascular health. Cruciferous vegetables are another powerful group for controlling both blood sugar and blood pressure. Vegetables such as broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, and bok choy contain unique compounds that directly influence insulin sensitivity, inflammation, and cardiovascular health. One of the most important compounds found in cruciferous vegetables is sulforaphane. Sulforaphane has been shown to reduce oxidative stress and improve insulin signaling at the cellular level. When insulin signaling improves, glucose can move out of the bloodstream more efficiently, lowering both fasting and post-meal blood sugar levels. Cruciferous vegetables also help suppress chronic inflammation, which is a major driver of insulin resistance and high blood pressure. Inflammatory signaling interferes with insulin receptors and stiffens blood vessels, making it harder for the body to regulate glucose and maintain healthy circulation. Another benefit of cruciferous vegetables is their effect on liver metabolism. The liver plays a central role in blood sugar regulation by controlling glucose release between meals. Compounds in cruciferous vegetables help improve liver insulin sensitivity, reducing unnecessary glucose output and stabilizing blood sugar throughout the day. These vegetables are also high in fiber, which slows digestion and reduces rapid glucose absorption. This leads to smaller blood sugar spikes after meals and lowers insulin demand, helping protect insulin sensitivity over time. Cruciferous vegetables also support blood vessel health, which directly affects blood pressure. By reducing oxidative stress and improving nitric oxide availability, these vegetables help blood vessels relax and widen, lowering vascular resistance and supporting healthier blood pressure levels. Another important effect is on detoxification pathways. Cruciferous vegetables support the body's natural detox systems, helping clear metabolic waste and inflammatory byproducts that interfere with insulin and vascular function. This contributes to improved metabolic balance over time. Because cruciferous vegetables are low in carbohydrates but highly filling, they help reduce overall calorie intake without increasing glucose load. This makes them especially useful for people managing both blood sugar and blood pressure. Preparation matters. Light cooking, such as steaming or sautéing, helps improve digestibility and nutrient absorption. Overcooking may reduce some beneficial compounds, while raw forms may cause digestive discomfort for some people. Cruciferous vegetables work best when eaten consistently, several times per week or daily. Small servings used regularly are more effective than large portions eaten occasionally. When included as part of balanced meals with protein and healthy fats, cruciferous vegetables help stabilize post-meal blood sugar and support healthier blood pressure regulation throughout the day. Because they target insulin sensitivity, inflammation, liver function, and vascular health simultaneously, cruciferous vegetables are one of the most effective vegetable groups for long-term metabolic support. In the next section, we'll move on to another vegetable that helps regulate blood sugar while directly supporting blood vessel relaxation and circulation. Beets also support endothelial health, which refers to the lining of blood vessels. Healthy endothelial function allows blood vessels to respond appropriately to changes in blood flow and pressure. When endothelial health improves, blood pressure becomes easier to regulate. In addition to circulation, beets help moderate post-meal blood sugar spikes. The fiber and phytonutrients in beets slow glucose absorption, preventing rapid increases in blood sugar after meals. This leads to smoother glucose curves and reduced insulin demand. Beets are naturally slightly sweet, which makes portion control important for diabetics. Small servings are effective and do not significantly raise blood sugar when eaten with meals. Overconsumption, especially in juice form, can raise glucose levels unnecessarily. Whole beets are preferable to beet juice for blood sugar control. Juicing removes fiber and concentrates sugars, which can overwhelm insulin response. Roasted, steamed, or lightly cooked beets provide benefits without excessive glucose load. Beets also support kidney function, which plays a role in blood pressure regulation. Healthy kidney function helps balance fluid levels and sodium, contributing to more stable blood pressure. When eaten consistently and in moderation, beets support circulation, insulin sensitivity, and blood vessel flexibility. These effects make them especially valuable for people managing both blood sugar and blood pressure. In the next section, we'll cover another vegetable that helps control blood sugar while reducing inflammation and supporting heart health. Beets also support endothelial health, which refers to the lining of blood vessels. Healthy endothelial function allows blood vessels to respond appropriately to changes in blood flow and pressure. When endothelial health improves, blood pressure becomes easier to regulate. In addition to circulation, beets help moderate post-meal blood sugar spikes. The fiber and phytonutrients in beets slow glucose absorption, preventing rapid increases in blood sugar after meals. This leads to smoother glucose curves and reduced insulin demand. Beets are naturally slightly sweet, which makes portion control important for diabetics. Small servings are effective and do not significantly raise blood sugar when eaten with meals. Overconsumption, especially in juice form, can raise glucose levels unnecessarily. Whole beets are preferable to beet juice for blood sugar control. Juicing removes fiber and concentrates sugars, which can overwhelm insulin response. Roasted, steamed, or lightly cooked beets provide benefits without excessive glucose load. Beets also support kidney function, which plays a role in blood pressure regulation. Healthy kidney function helps balance fluid levels and sodium, contributing to more stable blood pressure. When eaten consistently and in moderation, beets support circulation, insulin sensitivity, and blood vessel flexibility. These effects make them especially valuable for people managing both blood sugar and blood pressure. In the next section, we'll cover another vegetable that helps control blood sugar while reducing inflammation and supporting heart health. Onions are one of the most underestimated vegetables for both blood sugar and blood pressure control. While they are often used only for flavor, onions contain powerful bioactive compounds that directly influence insulin sensitivity, inflammation, and vascular function. One of the key compounds in onions is quercetin, a flavonoid with strong anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. Chronic inflammation interferes with insulin signaling and contributes to blood vessel stiffness. By reducing inflammatory stress, quercetin helps insulin work more efficiently and supports healthier blood pressure regulation. Onions also help improve insulin sensitivity at the cellular level. Research suggests that compounds in onions can enhance how cells respond to insulin, allowing glucose to move out of the bloodstream more effectively. This leads to lower fasting blood sugar and smoother post-meal glucose responses. Another important benefit of onions is their effect on blood vessel relaxation. Quercetin and sulfur-containing compounds help improve nitric oxide availability, which allows blood vessels to widen and reduces vascular resistance. When blood vessels relax, blood pressure decreases and circulation improves. Improved circulation also supports better glucose clearance. When blood flows efficiently to muscle tissue, glucose can be absorbed and used more effectively, reducing prolonged elevations in blood sugar after meals. Onions also support lipid metabolism, which is closely linked to both insulin resistance and high blood pressure. Elevated blood fats contribute to vascular damage and worsen insulin signaling. Compounds in onions help improve lipid profiles, reducing metabolic stress over time. Another advantage of onions is their low glycemic load. Despite their natural sweetness, onions do not cause significant blood sugar spikes when eaten in reasonable portions. Their fiber content slows digestion and glucose absorption, making them safe for most diabetics when consumed with meals. Raw and lightly cooked onions both provide benefits, though cooking can reduce some of the sharper compounds while preserving many of the metabolic effects. Light sautéing or roasting often improves digestibility without eliminating their insulin-supporting properties. Onions are most effective when used consistently rather than occasionally. Including them regularly in meals helps maintain steady support for insulin sensitivity and vascular health. For people with digestive sensitivity, starting with small amounts is important. Large portions of raw onion can cause discomfort, which may trigger stress responses that negatively affect blood sugar. When used correctly, onions become a simple daily food that supports blood sugar control, reduces inflammation, and helps maintain healthier blood pressure levels without relying on supplements or extreme dietary changes. In the next section, we'll cover the final vegetable, which helps regulate blood sugar while supporting kidney function and fluid balance, both critical for blood pressure control. Vegetables may seem simple, but when chosen carefully, they can have a powerful effect on both blood sugar and blood pressure. Leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables, beets, and onions each support metabolic health in different ways, improving insulin sensitivity, reducing inflammation, supporting circulation, and helping blood vessels relax. What matters most is consistency. These vegetables don't work as a quick fix, but when eaten regularly, they help create a metabolic environment where blood sugar becomes more stable and blood pressure is easier to manage. They work best as part of balanced meals that include protein and healthy fats, and they should complement medical treatment, not replace it. Small daily changes, repeated over time, are what lead to meaningful improvements. As always, monitor how your body responds, introduce changes gradually, and work with your healthcare provider if you're managing diabetes or blood pressure with medication. Supporting your body's natural systems is a long-term process, and simple, reliable habits make the biggest difference. Vegetables may seem simple, but when chosen carefully, they can have a powerful effect on both blood sugar and blood pressure. Leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables, beets, and onions each support metabolic health in different ways, improving insulin sensitivity, reducing inflammation, supporting circulation, and helping blood vessels relax. What matters most is consistency. These vegetables don't work as a quick fix, but when eaten regularly, they help create a metabolic environment where blood sugar becomes more stable and blood pressure is easier to manage. They work best as part of balanced meals that include protein and healthy fats, and they should complement medical treatment, not replace it. Small daily changes, repeated over time, are what lead to meaningful improvements. As always, monitor how your body responds, introduce changes gradually, and work with your healthcare provider if you're managing diabetes or blood pressure with medication. Supporting your body's natural systems is a long-term process, and simple, reliable habits make the biggest difference. Most people think spicy foods only affect digestion or heat tolerance, but certain spices have a much deeper effect on blood sugar regulation. In fact, specific compounds found in some spicy foods can influence how glucose is absorbed, how insulin responds, and how quickly blood sugar levels begin to stabilize after eating. What surprises many diabetics is that these effects don't take hours or days. Some compounds in spicy foods act quickly by improving insulin sensitivity, reducing inflammation, and slowing the rate at which glucose enters the bloodstream. This is especially important after meals, when blood sugar tends to rise the fastest. The key is not the spice itself, but the bioactive compounds inside these foods. These compounds interact with insulin signaling pathways, digestive enzymes, and inflammatory processes that directly affect blood sugar levels. When used correctly, they can support faster glucose control without relying on extreme dietary changes. In this video, we'll break down two specific spicy foods that have been shown to help reduce blood sugar rapidly. You'll learn how their active compounds work inside the body, how they affect insulin and glucose absorption, the best ways to consume them safely, and how to use them daily without irritating the digestive system. By the end of this video, you'll understand why these spicy foods can support blood sugar control and how to use them properly as part of a long-term diabetes management strategy. One of the most overlooked drivers of high blood sugar in diabetics is chronic inflammation. Inflammation interferes with insulin signaling, slows glucose uptake into cells, and worsens insulin resistance over time. When inflammation is high, insulin struggles to do its job, even when insulin levels are adequate. Spicy foods are unique because many of them contain bioactive compounds that directly reduce inflammation. These compounds don't just work slowly over weeks. Some of them act rapidly by calming inflammatory pathways that interfere with insulin function. This is one reason certain spices can influence blood sugar levels shortly after consumption. Another key factor is digestion speed. After eating, blood sugar rises as carbohydrates are broken down into glucose and absorbed into the bloodstream. Some spicy compounds slow this process by affecting digestive enzymes and gastric emptying. When glucose enters the bloodstream more gradually, blood sugar spikes are smaller and easier for insulin to manage. Spicy foods also interact with glucose transporters in the gut and muscles. These transporters control how quickly glucose moves from the bloodstream into cells. When transporter activity improves, glucose is cleared from the blood more efficiently, reducing post-meal spikes. Inflammation, digestion speed, and glucose transport are all connected. When inflammation is reduced, insulin signaling improves. When digestion slows slightly, glucose enters the bloodstream more steadily. When glucose transport improves, blood sugar levels stabilize faster. Spicy foods influence all three of these mechanisms at the same time. Another reason spicy foods can act quickly is their effect on blood flow. Some compounds increase circulation and improve nutrient delivery to muscles, which are one of the primary sites where glucose is stored and used. Better blood flow means glucose can be cleared more efficiently after meals. For diabetics, these combined effects matter more than any single mechanism. Blood sugar control is not about one pathway. It's about how multiple systems interact at once. Spicy foods target inflammation, digestion, circulation, and insulin responsiveness together. However, not all spicy foods work the same way. The benefits come from specific compounds, not from heat alone. Simply eating spicy food does not guarantee better blood sugar control. The type of spice, the amount used, and how it's consumed all determine whether it helps or hurts glucose stability. Another important factor is how spicy compounds interact with stress hormones. High blood sugar is often accompanied by elevated cortisol and adrenaline, especially after meals or during insulin resistance. These hormones raise blood sugar by increasing glucose release from the liver. Certain spicy compounds help blunt this response, preventing unnecessary glucose release. Spicy foods can also influence insulin sensitivity at the cellular level. By reducing oxidative stress and inflammation, they allow insulin receptors to function more effectively. When insulin receptors respond better, less insulin is needed to move glucose into cells, which improves overall blood sugar stability. This is why some people notice changes in blood sugar readings relatively quickly after consuming certain spices. The effect is not magic or instant sugar removal, it's improved efficiency. Glucose is absorbed more slowly, used more effectively, and cleared more smoothly. It's important to understand that these effects are supportive, not curative. Spicy foods do not replace medication, and they do not override poor dietary habits. However, when used correctly, they can significantly reduce the severity of blood sugar spikes and help smooth out glucose fluctuations. For diabetics, consistency matters more than intensity. Small amounts used regularly are more effective than large amounts used occasionally. Overuse can irritate the digestive system and trigger stress responses that actually raise blood sugar instead of lowering it. This is why understanding the right spicy foods, the right amounts, and the right timing is critical. When used properly, spicy foods can become a daily tool for blood sugar support rather than a source of discomfort or instability. In the next section, we'll break down the first spicy food, explain its active compound, how it works inside the body, and the safest, most effective ways to use it to support blood sugar control. The first spicy food that can influence blood sugar levels is chili peppers, specifically because of a compound called capsaicin. Capsaicin is responsible for the heat in chili peppers, but its most important effect for diabetics is how it interacts with insulin sensitivity, inflammation, and glucose metabolism. Capsaicin activates a receptor in the body known as TVRP1, which plays a role in pain perception, inflammation, and metabolic regulation. When this receptor is activated, it triggers a cascade of effects that reduce inflammatory signaling and improve insulin responsiveness. This allows insulin to work more efficiently and helps glucose move out of the bloodstream more smoothly. One of capsaicin's most powerful effects is its ability to reduce post-meal blood sugar spikes. It does this by slowing carbohydrate digestion and reducing the rate at which glucose enters the bloodstream. Instead of a sharp spike followed by a crash, blood sugar rises more gradually, which is easier for insulin to manage. Capsaicin also improves muscle glucose uptake. Muscle tissue is one of the largest sites for glucose disposal in the body. When muscles respond better to insulin, they absorb more glucose after meals, reducing overall blood sugar levels. This is one reason capsaicin-containing foods can have noticeable effects shortly after consumption. Another important mechanism is capsaicin's effect on fat tissue and insulin resistance. Chronic inflammation in fat tissue contributes significantly to insulin resistance. Capsaicin helps reduce inflammatory signaling in fat cells, improving their response to insulin and reducing the amount of glucose released back into the bloodstream. Capsaicin may also influence gut hormones involved in appetite and glucose regulation. These hormones help control how quickly food leaves the stomach and how insulin is released after meals. By supporting healthier hormone responses, capsaicin contributes to more stable blood sugar control. Research shows that regular, moderate intake of capsaicin can improve fasting blood sugar, reduce insulin resistance, and lower HbA1c over time. Some studies have also observed improvements in post-meal glucose responses within minutes to an hour after consumption, particularly when chili peppers are consumed with meals. The key is how chili peppers are consumed. Small amounts are far more effective than large doses. Excessive heat can irritate the digestive system, increase stress hormones, and actually raise blood sugar. For diabetics, gentle stimulation works better than extreme spiciness. The best ways to use chili peppers include adding a small amount of fresh chili, red chili flakes, or cayenne pepper to meals that contain carbohydrates. This helps blunt the blood sugar rise without overwhelming the digestive system. Capsaicin supplements exist, but whole food sources are generally better tolerated. Timing also matters. Using chili peppers with meals is more effective than consuming them alone. When combined with food, capsaicin directly affects digestion speed and glucose absorption, leading to smoother blood sugar curves. It's important to avoid using chili peppers on an empty stomach if you're sensitive. Digestive irritation can trigger cortisol release, which raises blood sugar. Always start with small amounts and observe how your body responds. Capsaicin is not a replacement for medication, but it is a powerful supportive tool. When used consistently and correctly, it can help reduce the severity of blood sugar spikes, improve insulin efficiency, and support long-term metabolic health. In the next section, we'll cover the second spicy food, which works through a different compound and has strong anti-inflammatory and insulin-supporting effects without relying on heat intensity. The first spicy food that can influence blood sugar levels is chili peppers, specifically because of a compound called capsaicin. Capsaicin is responsible for the heat in chili peppers, but its most important effect for diabetics is how it interacts with insulin sensitivity, inflammation, and glucose metabolism. Capsaicin activates a receptor in the body known as TVRP1, which plays a role in pain perception, inflammation, and metabolic regulation. When this receptor is activated, it triggers a cascade of effects that reduce inflammatory signaling and improve insulin responsiveness. This allows insulin to work more efficiently and helps glucose move out of the bloodstream more smoothly. One of capsaicin's most powerful effects is its ability to reduce post-meal blood sugar spikes. It does this by slowing carbohydrate digestion and reducing the rate at which glucose enters the bloodstream. Instead of a sharp spike followed by a crash, blood sugar rises more gradually, which is easier for insulin to manage. Capsaicin also improves muscle glucose uptake. Muscle tissue is one of the largest sites for glucose disposal in the body. When muscles respond better to insulin, they absorb more glucose after meals, reducing overall blood sugar levels. This is one reason capsaicin-containing foods can have noticeable effects shortly after consumption. Another important mechanism is capsaicin's effect on fat tissue and insulin resistance. Chronic inflammation in fat tissue contributes significantly to insulin resistance. Capsaicin helps reduce inflammatory signaling in fat cells, improving their response to insulin and reducing the amount of glucose released back into the bloodstream. Capsaicin may also influence gut hormones involved in appetite and glucose regulation. These hormones help control how quickly food leaves the stomach and how insulin is released after meals. By supporting healthier hormone responses, capsaicin contributes to more stable blood sugar control. Research shows that regular, moderate intake of capsaicin can improve fasting blood sugar, reduce insulin resistance, and lower HbA1c over time. Some studies have also observed improvements in post-meal glucose responses within minutes to an hour after consumption, particularly when chili peppers are consumed with meals. The key is how chili peppers are consumed. Small amounts are far more effective than large doses. Excessive heat can irritate the digestive system, increase stress hormones, and actually raise blood sugar. For diabetics, gentle stimulation works better than extreme spiciness. The best ways to use chili peppers include adding a small amount of fresh chili, red chili flakes, or cayenne pepper to meals that contain carbohydrates. This helps blunt the blood sugar rise without overwhelming the digestive system. Capsaicin supplements exist, but whole food sources are generally better tolerated. Timing also matters. Using chili peppers with meals is more effective than consuming them alone. When combined with food, capsaicin directly affects digestion speed and glucose absorption, leading to smoother blood sugar curves. It's important to avoid using chili peppers on an empty stomach if you're sensitive. Digestive irritation can trigger cortisol release, which raises blood sugar. Always start with small amounts and observe how your body responds. Capsaicin is not a replacement for medication, but it is a powerful supportive tool. When used consistently and correctly, it can help reduce the severity of blood sugar spikes, improve insulin efficiency, and support long-term metabolic health. In the next section, we'll cover the second spicy food, which works through a different compound and has strong anti-inflammatory and insulin-supporting effects without relying on heat intensity. Understanding how spicy foods affect blood sugar is only useful if you know how to use them correctly and consistently. The goal is not extreme heat or discomfort. It's controlled, repeatable support for insulin function and glucose stability. For both chili peppers and ginger, small amounts used regularly are far more effective than large doses used occasionally. Excessive spice can irritate the digestive system, activate stress hormones, and actually raise blood sugar instead of lowering it. Consistency always beats intensity. The best time to use these spicy foods is with meals, especially meals that contain carbohydrates. This timing allows the active compounds to influence digestion speed, insulin response, and glucose absorption during the window when blood sugar normally rises the most. Using spicy foods on an empty stomach is not recommended for most diabetics. Digestive irritation can trigger cortisol release, which increases glucose production by the liver. Always pair spices with food to avoid counterproductive blood sugar responses. Chili peppers work best when added directly to meals in small amounts. A pinch of cayenne, a few chili flakes, or a small amount of fresh chili is enough. You should feel mild warmth, not burning. If the food feels painful to eat, the dose is too high. Ginger can be used more flexibly. Fresh ginger, ginger tea, or ginger powder added to meals are all effective. Ginger is especially useful earlier in the day or at larger meals, where digestion and post-meal glucose spikes are more pronounced. Daily use should focus on tolerance and stability, not pushing limits. If you experience heartburn, stomach pain, or digestive discomfort, reduce the amount or frequency. Blood sugar support should never come at the cost of gut health. It's also important to understand that spicy foods work best as support tools, not standalone solutions. Their effects are strongest when combined with balanced meals that include protein, fiber, and healthy fats. This combination slows glucose absorption and reduces insulin demand. Hydration matters as well. Dehydration can worsen blood sugar control and amplify digestive irritation from spices. Drinking enough water helps the body process glucose more efficiently and improves overall tolerance to spicy compounds. People taking medications for blood sugar, blood pressure, or blood thinning should introduce spicy foods gradually. While food-based amounts are generally safe, sudden large increases can interact with medications or cause unwanted effects. Tracking your response is key. Pay attention to post-meal glucose readings, energy levels, and digestion. Many diabetics notice smoother post-meal numbers, fewer spikes, and improved appetite control when spices are used consistently and moderately. Spicy foods do not eliminate the need for medication or dietary discipline, but they can reduce the severity of blood sugar swings and make glucose control feel more manageable. When blood sugar rises more slowly and clears more efficiently, cravings decrease and energy becomes more stable. Used correctly, chili peppers and ginger provide a practical, accessible way to support blood sugar control on a daily basis without complicated rules or extreme restriction. In the final section, we'll briefly summarize how these two spicy foods fit into a long-term diabetes management strategy and what to keep in mind moving forward. Spicy foods aren't magic, but when used correctly, they can support blood sugar control in ways most people don't expect. Chili peppers and ginger work through different mechanisms, reducing inflammation, improving insulin sensitivity, slowing glucose absorption, and helping the body clear sugar from the bloodstream more efficiently. The key is moderation and consistency. Small amounts used with meals can help smooth post-meal spikes without stressing the digestive system. Used excessively or incorrectly, they can have the opposite effect. Blood sugar stability comes from supporting the body, not shocking it. These spicy foods work best as part of a balanced routine that includes proper meals, hydration, movement, and medical guidance when needed. They don't replace medication, but they can make blood sugar management feel more stable and predictable over time. As always, pay attention to how your body responds, introduce changes gradually, and focus on long-term consistency rather than quick fixes. Supporting insulin function and reducing inflammation is a process, and even small daily habits can make a meaningful difference.